Hi, welcome to No Stress Job Scheduling. I'm Jared Dahl. I'm the development manager of the Skybot team. So what we're going to talk about today is our old frenemy Cron. Cron is a task or job scheduler that's been provided with Unix and Linux systems since pretty much the dawn of time. It's a simple, robust tool that's great at doing simple things. It's really good at that. But if you're going to do anything complex, I think you're going to find that it rapidly becomes very difficult. If you want to include your end users in the maintenance of the schedule or the expansion of the schedule, you're going to find that they're going to incur a lot of pitfalls that a established sysadmin wouldn't. And then the third thing that's really kind of troubling about Cron is that it's missing a lot of features, and I don't want to call them creature comforts, but they are, things there to make end users' lives a lot easier. So let's talk a little bit about the pitfalls that we have with Cron. All right, so the first pitfall we're going to talk about is environmental problems. One of the major things that will happen to a user when they're trying to use Cron is they'll have things that work when they type it in on a command line, but when they try to put it into Cron, it just doesn't work. And there are three pretty common things that kind of cause that. The first is that they have a path that's set up in their command shell session that isn't set up when Cron runs. Okay? Another part of that is that they could have environment variables that aren't there as well. And a lot of times, anybody who's done any of this Unix stuff knows that if the path and the environment variable aren't set, the program doesn't run correctly. The second is that the permissions are set wrong, or they're using the wrong user. All right, if that happens, then the program isn't going to have the correct authority to the data files that it needs to access. The third thing is that a user can pretty easily configure Cron to run with the wrong shell. And if it's using the wrong shell, the syntax that they're using won't work and the Cron job will fail. So the next pitfall is different implementations of Cron. So over the years, there have been a lot of versions of Linux and Unix. And as those versions went forward, Cron changed and moved forward as well. But there are a couple of things in there that, depending on the version of Cron that you're using, they can become kind of nasty little pitfalls for you. So the first one, this is a pretty common thing. If your last line in your cron tab file does not have a new line at the end of it, on some cron implementations, it will not run that line. It won't execute it. So you basically have to make sure that you have a blank line at the end of the file. The second problem has to do with daylight savings. And some cron implementations will not run your jobs when you leap forward, or when you leap back, they'll run your jobs twice, which is really an undesirable type of effect. So the next pitfall I want to talk about is the arcane rules and syntax that are required to use Cron. So if you want to specify a schedule in Cron that says runs on the 1st and the 15th of the month, and basically runs every hour during those 2 days, this is what you're specifying. So for an end user to pull that off, that's going to be somewhat difficult. Another problem with Cron, if you want to run multiple commands in a single job, you have to use a little bit of syntax with an ampersand in it. This also only works with certain Unix and Linux shells. So the problem there is I need this to tie my commands together, and then I don't really get any good error handling between the commands. So these aren't really pitfalls, but they're features that an enterprise schedule will have that Cron doesn't. So the first, Cron has really weak history. It will just dump everything into a text file, and you have to scan through that file yourself. You can't filter it or sort it unless you know a bunch of really complex Unix commands. There are no scheduling exceptions in Cron. No way to hold a job in Cron without taking it out or commenting it out of that cron tab file. You can do some event-driven model stuff, but it's really difficult to do and it's error-prone. No queuing. No queuing means that you can't do any sort of specific ordering of jobs, and you can't kind of protect a resource from having too many things running at it at once. And notification. Notification, you have to kind of do that to-command thing using your ampersands, and it's just difficult to do. So to sum up, in Cron it's difficult to do complex things. If you want to bring your end users in, there are going to be a lot of pitfalls that they're going to run into. And there are a lot of features that could help your end users quite a bit, but they're not there. They're not there in Cron. One other thing I want to mention, Cron only runs on one system. If you have an enterprise, you don't have just one computer. You've got a lot of computers. So you need a tool that will span and control all of those systems. So if you'd like to see an enterprise job scheduler in action, you can go to our website, www.helpsystems.com/sandbox. There you're going to be able to work with an enterprise job scheduler, no trainers, no installs needed. All right, that's it. Signing off. See you next time.
Nice. Baller.
Nice.
That was
That
perfect.
Spot on.
Okay.
And notice how I waited before I said anything.